As mentioned earlier, today we're going to have a look at some of the products by PMI. We'll have a look mainly at the construction products and then at two different products called the Kickoff and Citizen Developer afterwards. First, the construction certificate. We're going to share with you a session that was run during the Africa conference on the construction certification.
My name's Ben Breen and I am the Global Head of Construction for PMI. It's absolutely my pleasure to be here today and to present to you the exciting construction initiative that PMI is undertaking with our partners. Just to give you a little bit of background of myself, I'm actually a structural engineer from Australia. Have been living in Singapore and working throughout Asia for more than 25 years now, and have been very, very lucky to work on some wonderful projects, some large-scale construction projects, such as the Marina Bay Sands development, which was a $5 billion construction of hotels and convention centres and a casino. And some other really wonderful projects in the region as well. So when I joined PMI, one of the intentions was to come in and look at the offerings that PMI have in the construction industry. And the more that we spoke to people, the more we had members who would say to us, well, there's now a lot of focus from PMI on agile ways of working. That's the new trend. And in fact, they felt that agile is difficult to use in a construction environment, which is obviously a lot more traditional and waterfall type of methodologies. And we then wanted to do something about that. So we started speaking to some of our big partners. We started doing what we do well, which is surveys in the industry, not just within PMI, but going outside of that bubble as well, to find out how we could help and what the pain points are. And we found that the pain points were the same all around the world. You know, the top 10 are the top 10 globally, with the positions changing a little bit from here and there. But it was very clear that there was an issue with efficiency, with communication, with delivery, with productivity, with sustainability, you know, these key elements that kept coming up over and over again. So I'm here today to talk to you about the process that we've gone through, the action that we're taking, and the wonderful things that you can look forward to. So let me just share my screen. Great. I hope you can all see that nice and clear now. So let me jump into the second slide, which is talking about the vision that we created. And that was, as I mentioned, transforming the construction industry by making it more efficient. We identified the key challenges, as I discussed, and what we're proud is that it's designed by construction experts for industry experts. So this is an industry-led initiative that PMI is facilitating and putting together for the benefit of the industry. And what we are doing is introducing several different courses, certifications, and also providing the opportunity for industry engagement. So at the moment, we're looking at about 7 different courses. There would also be some micro-credentials. And at the end of those courses, there would also be an overall certification. Now, we've put together what we call the expert panel, which I'll talk to you about shortly. We are putting together what we're calling a global industry forum, and again, I'll elaborate further. And also putting together thought leadership articles, really trying to, mobilize the community in such an important industry. Now, the benefits to you as an individual or to an organisation are very clear as well. It really would transform your team. It would improve efficiency, results, and ultimately profitability. You would be able to get a certificate from a world-leading institution with access to materials and best practices. That's what it'll allow you to do. It'll give you some fantastic networking with your industry peers. And yeah, we think this is all these things would significantly benefit organisations all around the world. So we then did a very big survey where we went out to about 40,000 PMP members in the construction industry all around the world. And as I mentioned, we also went out to people who are not specifically associated with PMI, because we think it's important to have that real, holistic feedback from all sorts of parties. We found that about 72% of projects were delayed, 70% experienced scope creep, and 40% exceeded the original timelines, and 73% of projects finished over budget. Now, if you're in the construction industry, you're probably sitting there and saying, yes, I can see that makes sense. And if you look at it, if for every $1 billion that is spent, 127 million is wasted. And that's higher than other industries, which are down at about 113 million. So construction industry is notoriously very, very wasteful and inefficient. So the research, we also wanted to find out what is important to the people. What is the subject matters that they want PMI to focus on. And the ones that came back, surprisingly, number one was the scope triangle, which we thought was obviously very basic, fundamental in construction, but it is very important. Other things that came back were a bit more complex, like scope and change order management. Communication came out as actually the top relevant subject. Contract process, health and safety, strategic stakeholder management. These are all the key ones that came out of our survey. So they're the ones that we wanted to look at and make sure that we were focusing on. We then wanted to understand what are the important skills that you need in your role today. The top one that came out was leadership. The second was communication. Then we had cost control, decision-making, and contract management. So these are all the key skills. They came out in different orders depending on who we spoke to, but they're the key elements, again, that we knew we had to focus on. Then we wanted to zoom out a little bit. We wanted to look at the construction landscape, and particularly what are the effects of COVID-19, because as we know, it's had a major impact all around the world. So it has reshaped the projects. The first one here, you can see that there, in terms of the focus will not be on hospitality, retail, entertainment projects, but governments are spending a lot of money. They're trying to stimulate their economies and make sure that money is being spent to give people jobs and to really fight back post-COVID. The second one is worker safety. A project cannot be done now without considering safety, which has always been important, but it's gone up another notch. There are more virtual meetings. Projects often are still run remotely to a certain extent. And in some ways that's helped, because we're getting people from all around the world dialing in, giving their expertise and opinions, instead of previously they would have had to have been sitting in a meeting room with you. So that's actually quite a big advantage. There is a focus towards modularization and prefabrication. Again, that relates to safety, but it also relates to quality control and doing as much as you can off-site in a controlled environment. The internet is very, very important, and sometimes we take that for granted. I'm sure if you're sitting at home and the internet goes down, I know that my children are the first to complain. And it's no different when you're running projects. It's critical to have a strong internet connection, and unfortunately that's not available all around the world. Robots are becoming more important, again, in automating repetitive tasks, making things safer, the use of drones. We're seeing companies like Saudi Aramco who are flying their drones across the oil fields to determine is there any issues and can something be done about it in a remote manner. So again, looking at worker safety. Artificial intelligence is just getting bigger and bigger. We're seeing augmented reality being used to, let's say something like a Microsoft HoloLens, which is being used for a project in a remote and dangerous location, and having somebody else at the end of the line who can talk through how to achieve something. So more and more we're seeing technology come into play in the construction industry. So we wanted to understand from a statistical point of view as well, just how many companies are adopting these new technologies and new ways of working. We found that 18% of firms are using mobile apps, which again, I find quite surprising and very low, considering how many apps we use nowadays just to run our normal lives. 63% of contractors are using drones. 33% of contractors expect to wear wearable or to use wearable technology in the next few years, and 75% are using cloud storage, as you would expect. But that still means 25% are not, and even that's a concern. So on the digitalization side, we're getting much, much better at gathering data, at using sensors, at using technology to gather data. But 95% of that data that we gather is not being used. So we have to get better at using data. 60% of companies do not have a dedicated R&D budget. And again, that's a concern, because if you're just working on a project and running on the fly, trying to introduce new technologies, chances are it's not going to be successful, or even if it is successful, it probably won't be adopted. So companies need to set aside separate budgets, even the small ones. 59% of companies state that their workforce doesn't have the skills to use BIM. And just to let you know, BIM has been around for 50 years now or more. So this is not a new technology, but it still is something that can significantly contribute to the improvement of a construction project. 19% of UK construction firms say that their projects are entirely paper-based. And again, that scares me. It just shouldn't be that way in this day and age. And 38% of companies cite the lack of staff to support the technology, which is a genuine problem with the lack of good quality, experienced project managers, engineers, architects, etc. So this is just a bit of a traffic light system which shows you where the spends are going to come from. As I said, so institutional with the government spending, across the board, really looking to fight the virus outbreak, strengthening their healthcare, new hospitals, investing in the key elements that support the institutional buildings. So that's a big green light the next few years. Followed closely by infrastructure, energy and utilities. And the ones that you're not going to see in the next few years so much is industrial, commercial, and residential. And then we look at the major construction players around the world. And you can see here is the top 10, with China state construction by far being the largest, with over $200 billion in revenue. And you can see as well that 7 of the top 10 are actually companies from China. And then if you look at the regions, again, China leads the way by far, followed by Europe and Asia Pacific. But the next 2, 3, and 4 down to Latin America are actually very, very similar. And you can see in Latin America, the 3 biggest companies are Odebrecht in Brazil, OAS SA, and Camargo Correa in Brazil as well. And they're big players by world and global standards. And it was important for PMI to understand, the market out there for something that we were looking to create with our partners. And we started off by saying, what is the addressable market? And first of all, according to the US Bureau of Employment Statistics, there's 270 million people globally working in the construction industry. So it's a big number. And approximately 11% of those, or 29 million, are construction workers, project managers working in construction. So that was already quite a big number. But what we found, PMI often talks about the accidental project managers. And that's people that have changed industry, they've gone to where the jobs are prevalent, or certainly moving and upskilling themselves to make themselves more relevant in the new world. And we believe, therefore, that it's an even larger market than this 29 million construction managers. And McKinsey and others have been doing some wonderful reports in talking about what is the new next normal in construction. And the 9 that they've come up with is a product-based approach, specialisation, value chain control and integration, consolidation will happen as often does when the world changes, and people need to specialise and consolidate and focus on what they're good at. Customer centricity and branding is something that's really coming out as a strong and important element. And investment in technology, which I'll touch on a little bit later as well. Investment in human resources. This is something we're seeing coming up quite often now. And in fact, PMI does what's called a Pulse of the Profession survey. And last year, we wanted to find out why some companies were thriving during COVID and others were left by the wayside. So what we found is that one of the key elements was if there was a focus on human capital, a focus on their people in upskilling them, making sure they had the best access to training, making sure that there was a big focus on diversity and inclusion so that you're getting the absolute best and widest thought leaders from around the world, all absolutely critical. So that's been picked up here by McKinsey as well. Internationalization is important. There is a lot of companies that are, countries that are really looking internally to what can be resolved locally rather than bringing in experts from overseas, which just may not be able to happen for some time. And the other key element was sustainability, which I think is great. There needs to be more and more focus on this. So those 4 key emerging disruptions can be categorized into industrialization, new materials, new technology, materials that are lighter, faster to produce, better for the environment, and how can they be shipped? What are the logistical elements involved with that? Digitalization of products and processes that I've talked about, smart buildings and infrastructure, using BIM, using AI, et cetera, and lastly, the new entrants. So it's not just our typical sort of competitors that we need to be looking at, but it's people coming in and totally disrupting the industry. Look at things like Uber in transportation, or Airbnb in hospitality. So these are the sort of things that will come in to significantly disrupt the construction industry as well. And McKinsey's findings were that that construction itself is the biggest industry in the world and makes up 13% of global GDP. But the construction has really only seen a very small productivity growth of about 1% in the last 20 years. And that's just not good enough. So from 2014 to 2019, private equity firms have raised more than $388 billion to fund the infrastructure projects, with $100 billion of that coming in 2019 alone. So we can see that companies are seeing the importance and raising the profile and therefore the money that needs to go into to fix these issues. McKinsey also found that $69 trillion in global infrastructure investment is needed in the next 15 years to support the expected GDP growth. There will be a skilled labour shortage. For example, in the US alone, 41% of the current construction workforce is expected to retire in the next 10 years, and that will have a significant impact. So these are all the fantastic findings that we can use in determining what is it that we're trying to create that can help address these issues. So then let's talk about what is the construction initiative that PMI is developing. We have worked with some wonderful partners, as you can see here. There's companies like Saudi Aramco that I've already mentioned earlier. We have Jacobs Engineering, Larsen and Toubro, Petronas, US Army Corps, US Department of Energy. We have some in the UK, the Transport Infrastructure of Ireland and AMI. We have BHP and DPR. All of these are just huge global entities in the construction industry. We have also teamed up with two not-for-profit organisations, with the Lean Construction Institute and the Construction Industry Institute, to use their decades of knowledge in making projects more efficient. And we've also teamed up with a company called FTI, who is our consultant working with us to develop this course, or these courses. So as you can see in the middle there, that's one of our virtual Kanban sessions. That's getting together, running through this collaborative digital capability or collaborative framework, and brainstorming key ideas of what we see as important in the industry and what are those pain points, and then how can we address them. So that's exactly what we've been developing in the past 12 months. We also wanted to make sure that from a community perspective, we were creating what we're calling the Global Industry Forum. That's getting together with the best minds in the industry, allowing some brilliant networking opportunities to meet like-minded experts, to challenge the market trends, and to bring in the perspectives before it becomes a trend, so that we know what's going on and we can talk about it and address it in the industry. We wanted to be able to create thought-provoking articles, give people a platform to speak about what they're passionate about, what's working well, what's not working so well. So it's a real knowledge exchange, and it's developing industry champions for change and adoption in new ways of working. So this is something that you can watch out for. This is coming your way very soon. And then in terms of where we landed after all of those meetings and discussions and surveys, the key 7 elements that came out of this, or the 7 courses that we're looking at creating, are shown here. Effective communication in the built environment, scope and change order management, interface management, performance management, execution planning in the built environment, and control and risk management in the built environment. And the last one is technology and innovation. And I don't have the topics there. It's probably quite difficult to read from this small presentation as well, but we're happy to provide more information here. We're well on our way to extracting the best information that we possibly can from the industry and creating courses that address these key elements. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. It was really important for us as well. We've already started doing beta tests in the industry. Before we launch anything, we have to make sure that it's hitting the right notes. It's doing everything that we intended it to do. And we get both positive and negative feedback, which is equally as important. On the positive side, we had customer satisfaction score of about 82%, which is very high. We had 96% agreeing that the content is relevant to them, 86% likely to recommend to colleagues, 91% agree that the learning is visually appealing. We put a lot of effort into the user interface, making it an online learning environment that was self-paced. We know people are so busy. You can control this, you can do it when you want, and it easily guides you through the course development. And then 96% agree that there are learning takeaways. So that was great for the first course. The second course, as you can see here, was even higher, 83% customer satisfaction score, and a lot of 100% in things like agreeing the content is relevant, agreeing it's learning is visually appealing, and it addresses key takeaways. So we're wrapped with that. We got some feedback saying there's certain elements that we can tweak and change. We could make it more practical, which I thought was really good advice, and we're working to do that, to introduce case studies so that you can look at this theory and say, okay, but how does it apply to what I'm doing? And that's something that we're incorporating now, which is significantly improving the course. So it's wonderful. And we have to thank, if there's anyone out there who helped us with this, we truly thank you for making our course even better. So I wanted to drill down into the course syllabus. Now, of course, this is still potentially changing, but this is where we see it at the moment. We want to highlight that in future as well, if people are saying, we love this course, but we'd love it to drill down even further, then that's exactly what we can do. And we want to make sure that this is industry led. Now, there's a lot of information here. Don't worry. I will just talk through the first one, which is really about effective communication. You can see a little star next to that, which means we're also doing a micro credential. So you finish this course, it might take a couple of hours. At the end of it, you can do a micro credential to test your knowledge, which is brilliant. So what we wanted to keep coming back to was the pain point, to make sure that we were creating the right objectives to give us an ideal learning outcome. So as an example, ineffective communication leads to confusion, frustration, distrust, and at a local level, ineffective communication impacts the worker morale and productivity. So that was the pain point. We found that projects that are being done all around the world were being done and delivered in different ways with different communication tools being used. So we created the learning outcome that we wanted is to understand the importance of effective communication, recognize the components in communication, identify the key activities and capture it in a strategy and a plan, keep projects on track, learn about commitment-based management to drive effective action, learn about key things like Obeya and using that as an effective communication tool, learning how to actually listen to what was being discussed around you and respond accordingly, and using collaborative tools and technology. And that's what we've done. The learning outcomes address exactly that. Learning how you'll come out of this, be able to write a communication strategy and a plan to increase the stakeholder buy-in and influencing without having necessarily the authority to do it, facilitating the Obeya sessions and creating that new way of working, and applying the principles of commitment-based management to drive clarity, purpose, decision, and action in construction projects. So that's just to give you an example of the first course. I'm not going to run through all 7 of those, but it gives you a good flavour for exactly the types of things that we are developing with our partners. The second one is on scope and change order management, as I've mentioned. We then have interface management and performance management, execution planning, which is also going to be a micro-credential, and the contract and risk management, and technology and innovation. We've actually changed this. Technology and innovation will be a micro-credential because we got a lot of excellent feedback in companies saying, we'd love to understand how to use technology better to deliver our projects. So there we go. That's everything in a summarized version. And if you like, this is what we're trying to achieve here. Transform the built environment by reducing cost overruns, by delivering better outcomes, by increasing productivity and competency of practitioners, and ensuring that there is continuous development of talent pool. So they're the key elements that we're working on. We are genuinely really excited about what we're creating here and the partners that we have involved who have just been fantastic and volunteering their time and effort into creating this. We're excited about it. We hope you are too, and thank you very much.
As of now, we have only 3 of the credentials out of the 7 courses, which are actually available to them. We have the Built Environment Communication Pro, the Scope and Change Order Management in the Built Environment, and finally, the Interface Management in Built Environment, which is in the beta testing right now. We now move on to the second product we are going to present today. It's called Kickoff. And we will start this presentation with a small video introducing.
What connects a marketing director developing a new campaign, an engineer overseeing a new team, and a software lead designing a new UX? They're all managing projects, but none of them is a traditional project manager. Introducing Kickoff, the fastest, cheapest way to equip you with the project management skills you need every day. You might be a new starter with great ideas, but no idea where to start. You might have some experience managing projects, but want to up your game or your team's. Or you might be a senior leader who wants to upskill the whole organization in project management fast. Whatever your level or job title, Kickoff will give you the knowledge, template, key terms and questions to ask at every stage. It's your digital course and toolkit for learning how to manage successful projects from start to finish, all in just 45 minutes. Oh, and it's completely free. How great is that? Kick your project into gear today. Visit pmi.org/kickoff.
Kickoff is an opportunity to take people in organization and make them more efficient. A study from the Pulse of the Profession survey showed that inexperienced project managers are the primary causes of project failures. And when you have a look at the workforce, actually today, a minority of the workforce have formal project management training, experience, and keep up to date with latest knowledge. However, the majority of informal managers, project managers, change makers, have little experience. They don't have the relevant education, and also they're not prepared to manage this product. They are the majority. This is why PMI has developed Kickoff. And how does it work? Kickoff, you just start by entering on the website and you answer a few basic questions about your project. Based on the answer on these questions, you will be forwarded to either the waterfall or agile course based on the project needs. The course is available in both flavors, the waterfall or the agile methodology. Second, you can choose your learning path. And in order, you can follow the elements of the course in order or skip around and go directly to what you want to know. After that, you can complete the activities. The course is really interesting. It's only a 45 minutes course and it's fun. It's very interactive. You have no boring and long lectures. You have quizzes to check whether you've understood the concepts. And at the end of the course, you get a digital badge which you can share on LinkedIn and every social media also. When you start the project using Kickoff afterwards, you will have access to the templates and guides that will help you in the delivery of your project. And finally, you can access Kickoff anytime, anywhere, whether it's on the laptop, it's available in French and English also. You can have it on your phone or tablet. You just connect and you have access to everything you have learned in these courses again. To get to the course, you just have to go to the pmi.org Kickoff and then you register. And as mentioned during the small video, the course is free. Do share this with anyone in your team or anyone willing to learn project management. I will now share a small story. This year earlier, as Ansa mentioned earlier, I am also the PMIEF coordinator here in Mauritius. There was a competition across Africa and the results were available at the Africa conference. And how the competition run? The free students, HC to HSC students, was asked to follow a course on project management. The course which they followed was Kickoff. And after following that course, they had to say how they would put in place a project on sustainability based on the course they had followed. And Mauritius came out first out of the 4 countries that were participating in this competition. We have also been using Kickoff here at the Mauritius chapter in our other initiatives with organizations like the Mauritius Scout Association and also the national leadership engine. We now move to the second product, which is citizen development. What is citizen development? Citizen development is the ability for users to create applications without coding experience. Normally, development of application was chasse gardée, or something kept specially for IT professionals. But now with citizen development, any end user can develop application without coding experience, and the advantage is it can be developed and deployed faster than with traditional IT teams. Also, this will be done at a fraction of the cost. How does it work? The end user subject matter expert, someone who's specialist in his field, makes use of what we call low-code and no-code platforms. These platforms will generate the code automatically without having to write any line of code, or sometimes it's very little coding that has to be done. And this will be based on the needs identified by the subject matter expert in the organization. And why is citizen development important? Citizen development is important because the biggest challenge for digital transformation today is to have software developers. You can see actually in Mauritius the amount of advertising being done to enroll or to recruit software developers. There is a big shortage of software developers, and it's not only in Mauritius, it's worldwide. Secondly, Microsoft states that around 500 million new apps will be developed in the next coming 5 years. And out of these 500 million apps, 400 millions will be made using low-code or no-code tools. Citizen development also enables the creation of complex workflows in a systematic and simple way. And anyone can build a software solution with these limited skills in programming. He just needs to understand how the data in the organization is being transformed. The benefits of citizen development. It creates a substantial reduction in cost and development time. Reduced workload for traditional IT teams. They will not only have to go and develop all the softwares, all the applications, small applications needed inside an organization. One of the big challenges with citizen developer is to find the right balance and right governance also for the deployment and development of these applications, as we may run into what we call shadow IT. Shadow IT is the development of small programs, small software, Excel sheet around the organization where data is being manipulated at a department level. But what's interesting with citizen development, it reduces the work of the traditional IT team, but also it will ensure that all this data will be available later afterwards. And the fast development of the products and the services in the organization. I'm showing you some low-code and no-code platforms. Out of these, some were very popular, like Power Apps from Microsoft. You have also AppSheet, which Google recently purchased, and Mendix. There are several vendors out there. You have new entrants coming every day, and the existing players are refining their offering day and day. Also, the features and functionality of the various low-code and no-code platforms vary a lot. The best platform for the application really depends on what the user needs, his requirements. What are the needs of the organization? What is the problem? What is the complexity of the system? I would like to play a small video, just an intro video on the Power Apps.
These days, many of us are learning new ways to work. Smarter, faster, getting more done in less time. In many instances, thanks to Microsoft Power Apps, the world's most complete low-code application development platform. Now everyone has the power to create innovative applications that automate and improve processes they use every day, quickly, with intuitive Microsoft tools, pre-built templates, and drag-and-drop simplicity. Power Apps makes it easy to seamlessly connect to hundreds of business systems and databases right out of the box, like SAP, Oracle, Workday, and Salesforce. It automatically standardizes all kinds of different types of data across your organization to unlock data silos too, making it easy to build apps that work efficiently across different departments and divisions. So say if Ali in accounting builds an app that updates and autofills customer data in any forms you use, sales can use it. Warehousing, logistics, legal, marketing, even HR. It's easily available for anyone in your entire organization. And if you want to take your apps to the next level, you can add advanced functionality, from AI and analytics to chatbots, interactive maps, external portals, mixed reality, IoT, and more. Power Apps is designed to work with the world's most popular development tools and platforms, so professional developers can jump code first into low-code projects while collaborating and scaling innovation on Visual Studio, GitHub, and even Azure. And you maintain governance and compliance with a single administrative console. So, if you're ready to transform more of your business ideas into business solutions, do it today. The possibilities are literally unlimited with Microsoft Power Apps.
That's it about Power Apps. What IT leaders have been thinking about citizen development? Out of the survey carried out, 81% of the companies say that they are already using or planning to use the low-code or no-code platforms. This is a big game changer, especially when we're talking nowadays about digital transformation organization, and especially in the world in which we are living right now. I'll just show you the life cycle for the software development with a citizen developer. The first thing is that the initial idea from the SME is assessed, and out of this assessment, we will see whether the program will be done using the fast track, assisted path, or it will be delivered by the IT team. When it's a fast track, it's quite direct. You design, develop, deploy it, and then you transition to support and change the process in the organization. If it's not possible by the fast track, then we have to ensure that the software will be bringing value to the business through business and value analysis. And after detailed assessment, we see whether it will be developed by the assisted path or the IT team. The assisted path is done by assembling a squad made up of subject matter expert and also the IT team, and then they go through the same process. However, if the program is too complex, then it will be developed by the formal IT team using the traditional way, agile or discipline approach. I will now show a second video of how citizen development has been implemented at Sterling Bank.
Long time. I do believe it's in the early phases. What's really helping, though, are internal citizen dev academies. So this was a concept that I learned about maybe a year and a half ago. So I went to, there are 3 companies that really stand out in this area where they've built their own citizen devs academy in-house to train up their existing staff. So existing people from all over the company, whether they have a tech background or operations background, legal, finance, whatever background they come from. So one is Schlumberger, which is of course in like 13 countries all over the world. Second one is GSK, who does pharmaceuticals in the UK. And the third one is Sterling Bank in Lagos, Nigeria. So quite global. And all of these 3 businesses had a very passionate person, like one strong advocate in-house. And they really believed in the power of citizen development and using the Power Platform. So they learned this, and then they started solving business problems that had plagued their organization for years. So in Sterling Bank's example, the citizen dev who started it all, her name was Foyen Olajide Bello. So she worked in the IT department. She was an InfoPath Forms form over data expert. She's not a software engineer by trade. And the bank brought her a business problem. They said, Foyen, we have 167 bank branches all over Nigeria. And the process is this right now, when we want to move money from the vault to an ATM. So everyone who works at these branches, when they're moving money, they go and write it down in an Excel spreadsheet. They're like, my name is, this is the date, my name is this, here's how much money I moved, save. So every bank branch, 167 branches, had their own Excel spreadsheet. At the end of the week, their job was to mail their own Excel spreadsheet to the central CFO's office. And there's some poor person in the CFO's office whose job it is to consolidate all of these 167 Excel spreadsheets and make sure that the amount of money they have left in the vault is the amount of money this thing equates to. This is not a fun job. And there's always error, always issues. People have overwritten their Excels. Someone forgot to send one. It was just like fraught with issue. So Foyen was asked to solve this problem. So at first she's thinking, how do we do this? And she looks up InfoPath, she looks up forms, all the tools she knows. And then she discovers this thing called Power Apps. So she, in a day, built a Power App, just a form, with a SharePoint backend, which was also something they used in the company. And people were able to just input their information. They said, I'm in bank branch X, here's how much I'm moving, etc. Hit submit, it gets saved to the SharePoint. The same central SharePoint. So at the end of the week, she's able to just generate a report of all the transactions from 167 bank branches. This wound up saving them like 60 hours a week at this bank branch. And of course, she's a hero. People are like, this is amazing, Florian. How'd you do this? This is magic. You didn't even code. She said, I'm not a coder, so I didn't code. Then next thing you know, all these departments are bringing her problems. HR brings a problem, finance brings a problem, legal brings a problem, and she has problems this big. She said, this is not going to work. So she set up the Citizen Devs Academy just at lunchtime on Fridays.
So
now a quick look at the Citizen Developer products. PMI has developed several courses right now. The first one is the foundation course. In this course, you get an introduction to the basics of citizen development movement. Then the second one, which is a certification credential, is the city practitioner. And this one is more for people with IT skills and those who will be implementing the different softwares, the methodology to build and safe and scalable applications. It can be for, as I mentioned here, for the IT team or with subject matter expert with strong IT background. Finally, you have the business architect. We will facilitate the city project in the organization and ensure it is implemented correctly. The last one, which is not yet available, will be the strategist level. At that level, it will be at the management level, the strategy level. These people will be those who will be implementing the environment for the implementation of digital transformation. They have to see, they oversee the drive the organization transformation, and also they will be doing what we call the governance of the project, ensure that there's no clash between the IT team and also the citizen developer. Actually, right now, citizen development PMI has also developed a developer handbook, which is similar to the book of knowledge. And also on the project management website, you have a lot of video series, question and answers, and webinars. Now the way forward, considering these free products, for the construction certification, what I would recommend you is really go to the website pmi.org certification construction and have a look at the different courses there. We have free courses. For the kickoff, follow the course yourself or share it with people in your team. Project management now is not only for project managers, it's also for any change makers inside the organization, anyone you know. And this course have been followed by people following HSC, SC with no problem. They really enjoyed that course. As for the Citizen Developer Community Portal, go and follow the topics there, the webinars, the questions and answers, and also the first free courses are available right now at pmi.org citizen development. Finally, connect with the Mauritius chapter via Facebook, website, or LinkedIn, and try to see whether you have something that is interesting for you, and do reach out to us. I'd be glad to answer any question you have.
So thank you, Malcolm, for this beautiful presentation. I think it gives us a lot of insight of the different products that we have, especially like you said, there are some which are free, which is very interesting. I myself did the kickoff. I was amazed. I mean, it's very interesting. It is straight to the point, and with the initial question, we're able to know where we are in Agile Project Manager, Waterfall Project Manager. Waterfall is still here, right? It's not going, but it's very interesting. So thank you. We have one question. What will be the best advice to project manager in the construction industry post-COVID-19?
Post-COVID-19, my advice for people in the construction industry today will be to get in touch with what's happening. Get to know what are the new technologies, what are the innovation. Yesterday, we had the chance of having someone from Co-Design, which was talking about how we can add augmented reality or virtual reality in our design, superposing what is being constructed out of simply the pictures taken. Try to find out how we can use these technologies today. And one thing which I also mentioned during the video we were watching earlier today is that we now have free courses, not free gratis, but free 1 to 3 courses that PMI has already developed. My advice would be to follow these courses. The one-house communication is already here and it's a micro-credential. And this will show to people outside that you have what it takes to manage these products. But I see that today in the construction industry, there are a lot of challenges today. They are facing a lot of difficulties. And one of the way they have to adapt and make use of and leverage technology to better manage the product.
Yeah, especially in this COVID situation, I think the one that was most impacted has been construction industry. And yesterday we heard about BIM and everything. So even digital is coming a lot in the world of construction. So yes, I think this is going to be interesting. There's a second question that had just come in. Are these citizen development courses aligned to that of Microsoft certification? I don't think so.
No, not at all. Not at all. I've been using Microsoft during this presentation, as a lot of people know Microsoft. But as I said earlier, you have AppSheet, you have Mendix, and it really depends on what you want to do. Citizen development is not about a platform. It's about low coding. It's about subject matter expert who knows how the data is being processed, how data is being transformed in the organization, and then you select what's best for you. You have, as I said, for citizen developer, you have 3 levels of courses right now available: the foundation, practitioner, and architect. And these courses are not per platform around a specific platform. It's more about how we do it exactly.
What you're saying is that anyone can become a coder without coding a line. So that is what
exactly. That's the future. That's the future of IT, I think. And just to share something, I was making a presentation earlier, it was last week, on citizen developer to IT students. And when I was presenting citizen developer to them, finally a student, they said, but it's going to be wild, wild west out there. Anyone doing what he wants. The importance with citizen developer is really find the balance and have the right governance so that people making citizen development don't make a mess in the organization. They work hand in hand with the IT team, and we can deploy and have products rapidly in the organization, which can help to deliver value afterwards.
And exactly what one of our participants from the region just said. Hello, Malcolm. So more of an observation than a question is that the biggest obstacle to citizen development in large organization is a rigid IT security standard, which usage of power tools like Power Automate, Power Tools, and other such low-code tools, right?
Yeah, sometimes the IT guys like to keep control. I just mentioned something that happens when I was working at Mauritius. I was a power user here for the network. While we develop power users, every time we were having problems, we had to send a ticket, and then the IT guy would come when he was free, and they have a long list of tickets. And by making power user, what happens? Our organizations were able to solve the problem faster, and the IT also has less problem. But I think the education is not only for the power users, it's also for the IT team so that they can embrace the change too.
True, true. Wow, there's another question. You are very confused. Let's take this one. What are the benefits of low code, no code to project managers besides having an app for progress reporting? I think it is more than that, right? So you can have Power Apps, you can have apps for many things, because as a project manager, you can work with one developer hand in hand in, let's say, a super agile way, or I don't know, the V model, like extreme programming approach, and can get stuff out, right?
Exactly. And the main advantage is that for me, citizen developers, the sky's no limit. Because you can really, as you mentioned earlier, do anything if you find the right platform, whether it will be on reporting, whether it's for AI, whether it's chatbots, whether it's website development. There's really no limit. It's just a question, as I said earlier, the presentation, to find the platform which is correct for the problem, for the organization, and for the user.
Great, great. I think we have come up to the hour, and thank you, Malcolm, for this beautiful presentation and also for answering all this question. I'm very sorry, but I think that people are very enthusiastic about what you have just presented. And of course, Malcolm is part of the PMI community. Feel free to reach out to him. Anyone who has any question, he's always available. I work a lot with him, and he's a super, super nice guy, always smiling and always helping. So please feel free to reach out to Malcolm if you have any further questions.
I just wanted to thank you, Ansar, and also the PMI team in Mauritius, Ansar, John David, and also Kati Kayer, who's not here today. Thank you. It was a pleasure making this presentation, and good luck, and have a nice conference day.